Okay, so before we can begin our discussion on meiosis, we needed to understand a few words, haploid, diploid, and homologous chromosomes. So our human cells have 46 chromosomes. So all of our body cells, so our muscle cells, pancreas cells, basically every nuclei in your body have 46 chromosomes, except for our gametes. Now, our gametes are our sperm and our eggs, our sex cells that we use for reproduction. And so, while our body cells, like our skin, for example, are produced by mitosis, we're going to study meiosis that creates gametes. Now, I just mentioned how our body cells have 46 chromosomes, but in reality, our gametes only have half of that. Our gametes have 23 chromosomes each. Now let's see why. So when we talk about our sperm or our eggs, they are considered to be haploid cells. So every single cell in our body has 46 chromosomes except for the cells made by meiosis, which are our sperm and our egg, and they each have 23 chromosomes. Now they have one of every kind. So we call this haploid, having one set of chromosomes. They have one number two, one number three, like that. So when a sperm, though, fertilizes an egg, now that forms a zygote. So here we have fertilization. This is where those 46 chromosomes come from. You may have heard in your life that half your DNA comes from your mom and half comes from your dad. Well, here's the half from your mom in the egg, and now the sperm contributes the other half, the other 23 chromosomes. So now this cell here has two sets of chromosomes. I got one set from the mom's egg and one set from the sperm. So this cell is a diploid cell. Now, when we learned about mitosis and how our cells divide, we were learning about diploid cells. And basically, once you have your one zygote, this fertilized egg of 46 chromosomes, this cell will divide by mitosis to make a fully formed, like, human. Like today, all of the cells that make you up came from this one cell dividing by the process of mitosis. So, again, to summarize, haploid means one set of chromosomes, and we write haploid with an N, a lowercase n. So the sperm is one N, and the egg is one N. So this is one set of chromosomes. And then when the sperm fertilizes the egg, we call this fertilization, forming a zygote. But now this diploid cell is written as 2N. It has two sets of chromosomes, one from the mom and one from the dad. And then that diploid cell will go through mitosis to make all the body cells in organisms today. So when we look at this, so this picture here is called a karyotype. And basically, let me just move this over. What we can see here is that this was the chromosomes in an egg. There's chromosomes number 1 through 22, which are our autosomal chromosomes, and an X chromosome. So here, when the sperm, though, contributes the other half, oh, just kidding. So this is a haploid. This has one of every kind of chromosome, right? One number 2, one number 3, one number 4, one number 5, etc. So when the sperm, though, adds the second half, look, now there's 2 of every kind. So now this is a diploid organism. There's 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s, 2 number 3s, 2 number 4s, etc. So here, if you were to count all of these colorful chromosomes, you would see there's 46 chromosomes here. So when we look at this, we got one from our mom and we got one from the dad. So we are diploid organisms, and we were made from haploid gametes, basically. Okay, so let's go ahead. So this is a karyotype. Now, when we have these matching chromosomes, one we got from the mom and one we got from the dad, we call these homologous chromosomes. So homologous chromosomes Also, this is just, I want to point out these are not duplicated. These are not sister chromatids in the karyotype. These are two separate chromosomes next to each other. These are not that X shape. Um, Okay, so let's go ahead though and look at homologous chromosomes. So here, if there's a chromosome that I inherited from my mother that says you're going to have blue eyes and red hair and maybe be tall. The chromosome I inherited from my dad says you're going to have brown eyes, blonde hair, and you're going to be short. And so basically, these two chromosomes are matching. So homologous chromosomes are basically chromosomes that carry like matching genes, eye color, hair, height, etc. So they have like you have two of each kind of chromosome. You inherited one from your mother and one from your father. So as diploid organisms, we have two copies of each kind of chromosome, one from each parent, and they carry similar traits on them. Okay, but I do want to point out that homologous chromosomes, they are different from sister chromatids. Like this orange and blue chromosomes, you can see I put lines on them to show like genes. So they are matching, but they're not identical, right? These are two individual separate chromosomes that are not identical to each other, but they're carrying like the same types of traits, maybe like freckles or blood type or something like that, but they're not identical. Whereas during S phase, when the chromosomes replicate, that is sister chromatids, and those, like this right here, that's identical, and that's a sister chromatid, which is different than homologous chromosomes, which are just matching chromosomes, basically, carrying similar information. All right, so before we go into meiosis, I just want, this was like my intro video, and then my next video will be meiosis.